Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Retro Warriors episode 83. Woo. As always, I'm your host, Justin Baker, and as always, I'm joined by resident old bastard Chris Saturn.
Hello.
Hello. Saturn, I got this hat here.
What?
And I know, this has never happened, but this is unprecedented. We're going to open, as we always do, with our weekly drawing. This is for a copy of...
Do we always do that?
Well, the time we forgot it.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was that time that we forgot.
And then we did it at the end.
Yeah.
But, okay, we're going to open it, as we always do, when we remember to do it at the beginning of the show, with a drawing.
A drawing.
A drawing. This is for a copy of Super Meat Boy. We do have one new patron this week, so we've added them in there. And Saturn, if you would do the honors of yanking a name out of their hat.
All right. We've got... I'm going to mispronounce this.
All right, let me see it.
Sorry. It is Anders.
Anders Dahlqvist.
Okay.
It is as close as I'm going to get it.
I work tech support. I work overnights tech support in the U.S., so I get all the calls from Europe and Asia, and we have a Sweden help desk, and most of their names are spelled similar to that one.
Yeah.
I don't even try. I just spell it to them and say, "Is that correct?" And then they're very polite and say yes and don't make me say
it. That's how they say it.
They're very friendly and polite people, and they don't force me to mispronounce their names.
Anders, I recently messaged us on, I want to say it was on Facebook. I believe it was. I can't remember what it was concerning, but I've seen his name multiple times, other than just Patreon. I've seen it. I've seen it around in some places and some stuff. So
you are much faster to answer our social media than I am. So often by the time that I see the things and I wake up and it's there, the conversation has happened.
Well, you get all of Dougie's stuff because he lives in Scotland.
Yeah. So
I wake up and it's like 104 messages.
Right?
Yeah.
The middle of the day for him is when I am awake and you are still asleep.
So Anders, do check your this is a Humble Bundle game, so it will be delivered to your Humble Store game, I guess.
Yeah,
you would call it.
I think it'll let you redeem it through Steam as well. Maybe?
Yeah. I mean, it's a Steam key, but it's just from the Humble Store. It will be sent to you direct message through Patreon. So check your Patreon for that. And of course, thank you for your patronage.
Absolutely.
Anywho, I have no news this week. I just wrote a plane fell in the news, and that's all we have.
Actually, a plane did fall today.
So, oh, God.
Well,
did I predict that?
Yeah.
I predicted a plane falling?
It didn't fall. It landed. But it's because they hit a deer.
What?
When they were trying to take off.
Okay, I thought you meant from in the air.
Yeah, it was a space deer.
And then I was like, who's launching deer? Because that's the real problem.
Right before I left my house to come here, I happened to hear on the news that a plane was grounded because they hit a deer, and I had to stop and be like, how? Yeah. How did that happen?
Submarine hits elephant. Must go to port.
Yeah. No, there was some news. There is rumors rumbling around that the NES Classic is being discontinued.
I saw that, and it was a Norwegian retailer, I believe.
Right.
Well, rumors from an alleged employee of a Norwegian retailer.
So from a Scandinavian region retailer.
This is a grain of salt chipped off of a larger grain of salt.
And this isn't the first time we've heard this rumor from the PAL region or from Japan.
Right.
It has been rumored many times the NES Classic and Famicom Mini are being discontinued in those regions. The last we heard from Nintendo of America was Reggie saying they have no intentions of doing so at this time.
Yeah.
So we have to assume that is still the case, but who knows?
It would be really especially shitty of them to just outright lie about ending production. Although at the same time, they were clearly yanking Wii U's off shelves and ending production and saying, no, we aren't. And then 2 days later, they're like, oh yeah, we did that.
Yeah, just kidding.
Yeah,
it's
totally did that. So it's I'm kind of one of those people that I cannot believe that they would end it.
I would not be surprised if they ended it. However, I would be a little disappointed if they ended it.
I could see them putting it on hiatus and getting through Switch launch and then dredging it up during the holiday season. Yeah, saying, holiday, NES Classics again. I could absolutely see that.
I can also see them slowing down production until they find a better way to prevent people from hacking it. That sounds like a Nintendo kind of thing to do.
Yeah, their fear of
piracy
is just getting ridiculous.
Yes, they have a increasingly irrational fear of the inevitable.
And it's just really disappointing,
Right.
is what it is. I mean, granted, every
every software company
is pretty much
does
losing
not
their
like
minds
piracy,
about it right now. Yeah.
but Nintendo has always had a particularly ridiculous
like
fear.
the Switch not launching with a web browser, and a lot of people are like, yeah, because of the browser exploits.
Yes.
And that wouldn't shock me one iota if that's exactly why it doesn't have a browser.
It might also be because they maybe their relationship with Opera is souring.
Oh yeah, I forgot Opera and Nintendo. What a team up!
Opera has made every browser for every Nintendo console since the DS.
God, it makes so much sense now.
Yeah. Also in the news, every friggin' news site is once again covering the retro blocks as if it's new.
Yeah, and as if it's happening, which I still don't believe it's happening.
I don't yet believe it's happening. I will believe it when I see a working unit available for sale for dollars.
So for people that don't know, it is a modular retro system. The idea being, so you have
similar to the Retro Freak.
Yeah, kind of. Except that you have this base unit, and you plug in different front
Adapter-y
ends
bits
that load different game cartridges.
Right.
Super Nintendo, Sega. You have one for each one. But the big deal is that it will allegedly run CD games.
Yes. Also, it apparently allows you to rip the ROMs from your cartridges to the unit.
Yeah.
But it will not allow you to read ROMs that are copied from the internet, because I'm so certain they'll be able to tell the difference.
Now, to my knowledge to date, there has not been any like retro remake CD console
Right.
ever.
Not that I've seen.
I would imagine because a lot of those patents are still new enough. I mean, I know N64 patents are still set in stone.
Sure, but
I mean,
the thing is that you can still emulate around patents.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't even think about it. It's probably the BIOS files, because CD units have to have BIOS files, and those are pirated.
People have found ways around that too.
Right.
I mean, Bleem had a not legit BIOS that the courts decided was okay.
I mean, there's always the free and open source BIOS files, but they're not fully compatible.
Yeah, often not. Fully.
Yeah, usually not.
The GBA open source BIOS file seems pretty legit, but
I can't.
Did we cover on the show a few weeks ago that news story about Nintendo using ROMs that they had downloaded off the internet for the Virtual Console?
We did. That was
apparently that's become far more commonplace for Nintendo. Like, the more people rip into it, the more they've been able to determine that literally every single one is downloaded.
It wouldn't be that sad if they weren't so Disney-esque about the Nintendo Vault or whatever.
Which apparently doesn't exist. They've lost all those files. They're just downloading them from Zophar's domain or something.
It was on Miyamoto's Hewlett-Packard, and then he replaced it, and so now it's gone. So they just have
and it's on a SCSI drive, and they don't have an adapter.
We can't. How do you even read a zip disk anymore?
Put it on some punch cards.
But the retro blocks, I just don't see it happening. It seems like a great idea.
Yeah, it feels like they're overreaching though.
Yeah, I'd be so excited to see it happen. But exactly, it does feel like the scope of it is so
especially
massive.
For a new group of people. Like if they had already released a string of smaller retro consoles, like Hyperkin did before they did the Retron 5, if they had a history of producing some units, we would say, I could understand that they are working towards that for the unknown future.
Right.
But this is a group that's coming out of nowhere. And they're announcing this giant project. I don't see it.
I don't see it happening either. And what's even more concerning is that the idea of having it modular like that, that's a cool idea. But one, in practice, it's cumbersome for people like you and I who would have 10 different add-ons.
Yeah.
Two, it seems like it'd be much more expensive. And three, I would rather just have a big unit with a shitload of slots and everything. I mean, I don't mind having this weird homunculus unit that I plug all my crap into, like the Retro Freak or the Retron.
Yeah.
Because then I don't have to be like, all right, let me open my drawer of, retro block adapters. Yeah. Like, it looks really...
I have enough random shit in my house already.
Yeah, I've got enough crap going on.
Yeah.
Between light guns and N64 memory packs, and I don't need more.
The advantage of a retro clone device is not having all that shit around. It's having one thing to have hooked up all the time.
I could see them having one, like, here's the base unit with all the cartridge slots, and then it's the TurboGrafx CD add-on style thing for the optical drive.
What they're implying, but who knows?
Yeah, the whole thing, everyone's very excited about it. I'm glad they're excited. I hope it works out. I hope we're super wrong.
Yeah,
and
that'd
it's
be great.
amazing.
Yeah.
I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, me either.
Anytime soon. Yeah. Do we have any other news?
That's all I got.
There was that one game that I sent you earlier that came out on Xbox and PC that was a Ghost and Goblins.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to call it a clone.
Right, but it's a clone.
It's I don't even remember what it's called. Castile, something Castile.
Yeah.
Look it up. Google it.
Yeah. Look that up.
That's my attempt at news.
Yay.
Well, look up a thing. It's homework. I give you homework for you to go do at home.
I saw a thing on NeoGAF. Look it up.
My week, I don't have much. My daughter has 6 teeth simultaneously slicing through her gums.
Oh, good, they're in her mouth.
And and it's
she didn't find them in the yard.
No, yeah, she wasn't like, oh, I found these teeth. She can't talk yet. I don't know why. If she did, that's what she'd say.
Right.
Well, she can, but she'd just be like this, and I'd be like, all right, that. She has 6 teeth coming in right now, so my life has just been hell on earth.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
It's like Doom 2 without guns around here. It's ridiculous. She's just screaming bloody murder and knocking shit over and freaking out all day long.
Yeah.
So I haven't gotten much anything done, and when I do have downtime, I just want to sit and just get really drunk and pretend it's not happening and just masturbate drunk repeatedly. I did pick up the new Humble Freedom Bundle, which politics aside and
added an extra 15 games today.
Yeah. 15?
Yeah, something like that.
Wow. I knew that. I figured they'd add a couple. If you are not on the Humble Freedom Bundle, get on it.
Will it still be up by the time this goes live?
I imagine it will.
Because it was only a 1-week thing.
Was it?
Yeah.
1 week. I think it might be.
It may be expiring the night this goes live.
If it's not up whenever you listen to this, then just know that you missed out. And it's your fault.
You've already missed out on some of it. Because some of it was limited time.
Yeah, they've been doing that thing now where they're like, we're out of keys for this. And I think it is this thing where Humble Bundles have become so big that developers sign on and they're like, look, we don't want to give away 500,000 keys for a game. We're okay giving away 10 or 15,000, but we don't want 1 million people downloading it for $1.
Yeah, I know Subnautica's already gone.
Subnautica's gone. Super Meat Boy is gone.
Oh, Super Meat Boy is still there if you want a DRM free copy, but you can't redeem it on Steam.
On Steam, yeah.
And Monster Loves You is gone.
Yeah.
So, even that aside, there's still a ton of good games in there.
Oh, yeah. But I was excited to get, is it 2048 or 2064 or what? Read-only memories?
2048, I think.
Yeah, that looks really fun. I was very excited for that. It just launched on PS4, and I was seconds away from buying it for $20 a week ago. And I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't because now I got it on PC.
For me, it was The Witness and Octodad are games that I've been wanting to buy for so goddamn long.
I've been wanting to play Octodad too. That's on my list. Yeah. I did start playing Stardew Valley, which I would absolutely love to do a full segment on because it's just a phenomenal throwback to like JRPG Harvest Moon's chore games.
Nice.
It's just great. It's really, really great so far. Loving every minute of it. I know I kept saying I was going to wait for the Switch version, but I saw this one. I was like, well, it comes with all this other shit. And if I can download it right now and play it, I can't resist.
Yeah.
So I've been playing a Steam copy of that, and it really is. Cannot recommend it enough for anybody that loves Harvest Moon, Animal Crossing, any of that kind of stuff. It is just phenomenal. It's a phenomenal game.
It's just a great bundle. If you're able to get it, because it is absolutely worthwhile for $30 or for more than $30.
Yeah. If not, and you missed out and you know someone that got it, kill them and take their copy.
Right. Yeah.
Because
claim their Steam library.
Humble
it's
Bundles they operate on Highlander rules.
Right.
So if you cut off the head of someone who has a Humble Bundle, you now obtain their Humble Bundle and a life sentence in jail.
Unless it's us. Do not cut off our heads.
We don't count. Yeah. We're not in the running.
We're exempt.
And that's really just about all that I have. Saturn, I don't know what all you had going on this week.
More than usual.
Really?
Yeah. I learned
you've been working like crazy, which is why your weeks have been kind of.
But for some reason, over the weekend, work was incredibly slow, and I caught up on a lot of shit at work real early on Friday.
I know because this is a big research show for us.
Yeah.
And you were like, I played all of those games. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. I had all this free time on Friday and Saturday night because again I do tech support, so we do over the phone and email and all that shit. I cleared out our email boxes by like 8 p.m. Friday night, so I had the whole weekend to just whatever.
Oh, wow.
And so I played a bunch of the games that we were going to be talking about, but I also learned that, and I should have known this years ago, but I didn't, the ports of Saga 2 and 3 that Square Enix did on DS have full fan translations that are excellent.
Oh, wow.
And so I put those on my DS flash card, and they're incredible.
Really?
I am loving replaying Saga 2 with 3D graphics on the DS.
Now, the only Saga game I've ever played was the one that was turned into a Final Fantasy game on Game Boy here, which Final Fantasy
Legend 1, 2, and 3
are
all Saga 1, 2, and 3.
Played those, enjoyed them. Very fun games.
Yeah, it's those upgraded into 3D graphics on the DS.
That sounds really awesome.
It's just 2 and 3. They skipped 1 for some reason because Square Enix.
It wasn't the best.
Right.
Yeah.
But Final Fantasy Legend 2 on the Game Boy, loved that game as a kid. I'm loving going back to it and hearing all the remix, the music, and it's just great. Definitely give it a try, especially if you have a DS flash card, because I hate using DS emulators because I hate playing
It's not a
DS.
system that emulates well.
No, it really doesn't.
Not at all.
That screen does not look good on anything else.
Even on Wii U, where you have two screens, it still looks bad. It's still horrible.
Also, this week, while I was playing on my DS flash card, I finally sat down and played a fan translation of the Nameless game, which is the weirdest.
Is that the name of the game, or it just has no name?
No, it's called the Nameless game. Okay. That's the translation of the name. It's also a fan translation.
It's the name of a game show from the 70s.
Right.
The Nameless Game.
Yeah, it's something Chuck Barris put together. No, it's a combination 8-bit JRPG and visual novel horror game.
Wow, that totally sounds like something I would never play.
It's basically The Ring, but instead of a VHS tape, it's an NES game.
You just needed to add in the words point and click to scare me off a little bit more. And it was
and it's really weird, but it was made by Square Enix. It's basically a Dragon Quest clone mixed with The Ring.
That's just sounds scary as shit.
It is pretty scary, but it's really good if you like horror games.
Yeah.
And also JRPGs. Because if you don't like the JRPGs, whenever you have to play the JRPG, you're going to hate yourself.
Yeah.
Because it is the most generic, boring Dragon Quest clone ever.
Yeah.
Also, I started playing some more Newtopia on my Turbo because I had my Turbo hooked up, and I was like, damn it, I'm going to finish Newtopia this time.
I don't know that I've ever actually put any real effort into Newtopia.
I got through the second dungeon, and then I was like, I'm going to put this down. Then I accidentally turned off my Turbo CD, and it erased my file cabinet, because that's what the Turbo CD likes to do.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, if you have it turned off for more than it's supposed to be 2 weeks, according to the instruction manual for Newtopia, but on mine, it's like 48 hours.
Mine never loses anything.
Yeah,
then again, mine's more recently refurbished than yours.
Well, you have the two power toggles. You've got the one for the CD and the one
that locks it for the memory unit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you keep the power toggle on the CD on, it'll stay there forever.
Yeah.
You could not play it for years and it's still there. But I, out of instinct, flipped them both because that's just how I used to always do it before I knew that.
Yeah, I leave it on all the time now. It feels like I shouldn't have juice running into my PC Engine all the time, especially as much freaking money as I spent on it. But I've just kind of given in and decided it was designed that way.
Yeah, that's what I try to do. But out of instinct, I turned it off, and now I lost
it.
And now I'm like, someday I'll find you, Newtopia.
As much Newtopia as I played was booting it up on the Wii Virtual Console, realizing it was one of the TurboGrafx games that looks like it's got a layer of Vaseline smeared on it, and turned it right off because it looked terrible. I couldn't stand it.
On the actual system, it looks good. It is such a clone.
It is a Hue card game though, so I can't afford it because I'm a mere mortal.
Yeah, I'll let you borrow my Hue card someday. It is such a blatant clone of Zelda 1. Like, it is closer to Zelda 1 than any Zelda game has ever been. So if you really love Zelda 1 and not the rest of the Zelda franchise, definitely play Newtopia.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's okay. I learned this week that Power Golf and Bomberman 94 are available on the Windows Store.
That's a weird.
Yeah.
What is going on at Konami?
If you own Windows 8 or 10, you can download Power Golf and Bomberman 94 TurboGrafx versions.
Within weeks of the announcement that if you're in a Japanese arcade anytime soon, you can play a hentai Bomber Girl game.
Yeah. Apparently these Windows versions have been out for like a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like there's like a group of like 5 employees at Konami that really want to do good things.
Yeah.
And every now and then they like sneak something out. They'll be like, Turbo games on the Wii U Virtual Console.
Yeah.
And then
management is like, what did you just do?
Yeah, an executive comes around the corner and they're like, what is that? And they close it real fast
Right.
off their computers, like the Nintendo submission form.
Yeah.
And they only got those few in.
Yeah. But no, it's they're good ports, except for Konami put zero effort into the translations on them.
Of course.
So my favorite part is, so you've played Bomberman 94 and Saturn Bomberman and those, and they always have those kangaroo things, right?
Yeah.
They're called Louis.
Okay.
They've always been called Louis, except for in
Just
the
like
Windows
comedian
port.
from the 90s.
Right.
Louis.
Like Louis Anderson or Louis C.K.
Yeah, I prefer Louis Anderson in this instance.
So they've always been called Louis, except for in the Windows Store port. If you look at the manual for the Windows Store port, they're called Rooi, ROOI.
I wonder if a Japanese person translated this.
And on the main menu, it's got like game start and then a helpful little reminder that if you click game start, what that means is I will play the game now. And then it's got like options. I will configure the options. Web. I will go to the Konami website. It's the best awful translation I've seen in a while now.
That's great, man.
But yeah, so that's all I got.
That just further proves my theory that it was a small group of people. They were like, do you know English? And he's like,
I speak English.
Translate.google.jp.
Right?
There you go.
Pretty much.
All right, well, unless you have anything else, I think we'll dig into...
But that was, my turbo transition.
Right. This week... This is by request. Like I said last week, we are going to be getting back into requested topics, researched shows. This is far and away the most research we've done on the show, to the point that we have so much research that one, I feel like it might just end up being a mess.
Yeah.
And two, we're going to have to do 2 episodes on this. This week, we're doing PC Engine Shmups. We've had multiple requests for PC Engine Shmups and Saturn Shmups.
They will not fit in the same episode.
No, they won't even fit in the same month, I don't think. So we'll have to, there will be a gap. I chose to do PC Engine first because that's just what I'm playing a lot of right now. And we got some beautiful stuff in from PC eWorks that I wanted a chance to really dig into. So here we are, PC Engine Shmups.
I would like to note, one, for people who do not, or who are not crazy and not willing to spend hundreds of dollars on a PC Engine, PC Engine emulation has come a long way.
Oh, yeah.
It is a viable option. And,
absolutely.
Actually, for all of our research on this episode, despite the fact that I've played most of these games before, I went back and replayed all of them just to take notes. I did all of my research on RetroArch.
Yeah, I did a lot of mine on my RetroPie and then some on OpenEMU.
Yeah.
Because the ones that weren't CD games that I can't get copies of, I can't get HuCard games because, again, money. Mere
mortals.
Yeah, I'm not Bill freaking Gates. I can't.
We're not exactly running the U.S. We don't have just money coming out of our whatever.
So yeah, so any of these games that we talked about, with maybe 1 or 2 exception, are easily emulated.
Yeah. Now, granted, you just played Sapphire on your legit PC Engine right before we played the show.
I did.
The most expensive of the games.
Absolutely.
You got to play on legit hardware moments ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that said, because I've been playing on an emulator, I've been playing on my PC while I've been working because it's sitting there anyway. I've been using my my Xbone controller, my Bluetooth Xbox One controller. That D-pad is surprisingly good on shoot 'em ups.
Yeah, I've been enjoying it on Stardew Valley, which is I use a classic controller for my RetroPie and my emulators and stuff. But it's all right.
It's actually I've really enjoyed using.
I can't believe you've been playing Shmups over Bluetooth. Isn't the lag killing you?
None at all.
No, okay, don't say none.
Noticeable lag.
I can't believe that.
The pairing between the Xbone controller and a Windows 10 computer is beautiful. And I am not noticing any lag at all.
I'm so lag sensitive that I just don't trust any wireless form of anything anymore. It's bad. It's getting really bad.
It's been working great for me. Really enjoying it. If you have to play on a computer and you don't have just a crazy mess of adapters, the Xbox controller, the Xbox One controller, is worthwhile. The 360 controller is garbage. Don't play a shmup on that. Don't do that to yourself.
Well, I want to talk about first. I have a disclaimer that I want to throw out there. This is PC Engine Shmups, but we are skipping Q-em-ups, games like Star Proteer and Parodius.
Let's just real quickly run down the ones we're skipping because they do deserve mention. We're just not addressing
and they
them.
are absolutely top tier shmups on the system.
So Star Parodier, Parodius, Magical Chase, Cotton, Twin Bee, Ordine, any others you can immediately think of?
Yeah. And we are skipping them because, one, we need a more focus to even fit this into 2 episodes.
Right.
And 2, our very first episode we ever did was all cute 'em ups, and we did cover very heavily PC Engine stuff because I just got my PC Engine at the time.
Right.
So is it?
You had recently become a convert.
I'd recently played yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd become a convert. I had introduced you to the fold.
Yeah. And here we are, 83 episodes later,
now
and
you're
I'm playing,
one of us.
And I'm playing a Sapphire reproduction on an arcade card on a briefcase PC Engine.
Yeah.
With a region mod and S-Video mod.
Yes.
This is how far on a CRT.
Yeah.
This is how far I've come.
Yeah. You've come as far as I was in the mid-90s playing TurboGrafx on a CRT.
The rabbit hole is deep. But I did want to mention that they are great. They are absolutely worth checking out.
Yeah.
And honestly, I prefer cute 'em ups to shmups because they tend to be easier games and they're more fun and they're funny.
They are sometimes easier games.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
And actually, the only Japanese Hue card game I even own is Parodius, which is it's such a great version of it.
Because man, that's a good port of that game.
So go listen to that episode because we do cover Star Parody or Parodius. I think we cover Cotton and Magical Chase in it a little bit.
I don't know if we mentioned Twin Bee or Ordine, but they're both good games. Give them a shot.
And then forgive how awkward we were 83 episodes ago. Because
was that really episode 1?
That was episode 1, Cute 'em Ups. And then episode 2 was Satoru Iwata. It was right after he passed. We started right before he passed away is when we started.
So tragic.
Yeah. Anyway, I also wanted to mention scope. We are going shallow and broad with this because I want to cover as much PC Engine shmups as I can. So we were going shallow and broad. We're going to talk a little bit about a bunch of games over 2 episodes. And we've focused on PC Engine specific games because there's a lot of games like Gradius and Raiden, which they're arcade ports. They've been ported to tons of other things. You can play them plenty of other places.
Right.
But I'm assuming that if you're listening to this, you want to play shmups you can only get on the PC Engine.
Right.
I mean, we'll mention those, but they're not the focus.
Right.
So all the disclaimers aside, Saturn. Why was the PC Engine such a shmup powerhouse?
It's actually made out of old spaceships.
Is that why?
Yeah.
I thought it was little bits of Apollo 11 like fused into it.
Yeah. No, it's because I have to assume it's because Hudson was involved in the development of the console.
And they published a lot of the games we're talking about in the next 2 episodes. It was I was either co-developed by Hudson, published by Hudson. They pushed shmups hard.
Hudson was the developers and creators of the Star Soldier series, which was notable on NES.
Oh yeah.
And it got several sequels on the PCE. And also they were taking hardware that was so similar to the NES when they made the PC Engine, with just some minor variations and a more powerful graphics and more system RAM, things like that. But the chip was similar enough to the NES that if you knew how to program a great NES game, odds are you could also program a great PC Engine game. So for developers who had already put a ton of money into developing NES games, and they had the option of PC Engine, Super NES, or Genesis, or Mega Drive, or whatever, they already knew one. And so the cheaper development firms who couldn't afford to teach themselves a new hardware were making it on the PC Engine. And you often saw the cheaper development cycles went into shmups because it was a quick way to make money. Yeah, and there's certainly a lot of similarities even between drastically different shmups on the system. I mean, it's like you'll see a lot of similarities in power-ups. A lot of them share power-up systems. Like there's just a lot of shared. Yeah.
And I imagine it was just assumed in the genre, like, oh, well, if you're making this, then you're going to have a Vulcan power-up and a laser power-up, and that's just how they are. You're going to have a green thing that isn't really a Vulcan, and it's kind of shittier than that, but it's just like these weird kind of wide bullets, which is in like 50 different shmups on the system. So, yeah, I could definitely see that, And I feel like as far as home consoles, if you are into shmups and that's what you want to play and that's your genre of choice, there's PC Engine TurboGrafx and Sega Saturn. Those are that's your bread and butter systems, is those two.
Yeah, And then since then, everything has just been dispersed everywhere, where there's like one or two really quality shmups on each system, and that's it. Like
I feel like everyone
Cube had Ikaruga, and PS2 had Gradius 5, and the 360 had Radiant Silvergun and Ikaruga and Otomedius.
Right.
So there's just
out of nowhere Otomedius.
Yeah, just random smattering of shmups everywhere these days.
But they're the go-tos, you know, if you want to play shmups, you know.
Absolutely.
What was I going to say?
I don't know.
Last disclaimer, I did want to say we do reserve the right to do entire episodes on any of these games or series, so don't think this is the last you're going to hear about some of these games.
Because we will definitely do a full episode on Nexer Special.
Yeah. I came up with my own metric for talking about shmups.
All right.
I call it restart factor.
Okay, yeah.
Because this is a very, as far as shmups go, this is a very important factor for me.
Yeah.
It's how difficult it is to continue playing after you get a game over.
Right.
For example, Gradius, the restart factor in Gradius is
painful.
Yeah, it's very, very painful.
Yes. There is a very, noticeable and fast power progression
right
at the beginning of the game. But if you die,
you're boned.
And you're not at the beginning of a level.
Right.
It's going to be very difficult to get back.
So for most of these games, I feel like it's an important thing, because what that means is, like, when I play Gradius, I play until I die one time and then I'm done playing. I'm like, all right, turn the game off. It's over.
Yeah.
Because
Gradius is one of those ones that I will totally play through every time.
Yeah, not me. No, thank you. So I did want to mention that before we started talking about it. And this is, I swear this is the last thing I want to mention. One of our patrons and listeners, Andrew Park, has a blog called Retro Gamer Randomness. It's retrogamerrandomness.blogspot.com. He had a wonderful list of PC Engine games, specifically shmups, that he already had curated that I went through, and I think ended up touching on all but one or two of them. And I think several of them are going to be in these two shows. So definitely go check out not only his blog, but specifically that article, because he does some great shmup-specific stuff. So let's start with the PC Works Shooting Legends box set, which our video listeners can see wonderfully displayed on the table here in front of us, Home Shopping Network style. PC Works did send us this, and I loved the crap out of this box set. This was a very, very fun box set, and I do want to cover every single game in it, starting with...
Nexer.
You pronounce it Nexer, so I'm just going to pronounce it that way, but it's spelled...
That's the best I've been able to go with.
NEXZR is 1992 by Naxat.
Yeah.
Naxat made Nexer.
Yes.
This is the first one out of the box set I played. Very much enjoyed it. Very hard game.
Now, I don't know if you got both versions of the game or not.
I did. I got Nexer and then the special whatever. Yeah, which is
so far as I can tell, the only difference between the two is special adds caravan mode.
Right. Other than that, it's oddly still the full version of the game included.
Yeah.
This one I did not get very far in at all. This was a very difficult game for me.
Yeah.
I had a very hard time with
this. This was the first game where I realized that an emulator will not load it if you're using an American System Card 3 image. You have to use the Japanese System Card 3, or it just doesn't detect it.
I think of the games we're covering, only 2 of them even had US releases.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I liked Nexer a lot. It has a really cool, like, hard sci-fi setting, simple power-up system, little...
my complaint with the power-ups in it is they're tiny.
They're very small.
They're super small.
They're very small and hard to see.
And, like, the first several times I played it, I would constantly just fly right past them, not even know they were there. And the background is...
I'm trying to remember.
busy.
This was the one where the power-ups were like little kind of cylindrical things with little tiny metal wings on them.
Some of them were, and some of them were just like little like representations of a laser.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I would just fly right by them because the game doesn't do a great job of differentiating the moving ones from enemies,
right,
and the stationary ones from background. So until you know what they are, you can very easily just end up passing them.
Absolutely. I enjoyed the game graphically. It's a very simple game, but like in the first stage, you've got like explosions and lasers going on in the background. Like it had good backgrounds and good scenery, which I very much enjoyed because I was staring at the first level background over and over and over and over again. I don't know that I even made it to the second level in this one.
I did feel like the background was a little too busy at times, though.
Was it?
And more importantly, though, the thing that bothered me the most is that some of the enemy patterns are super cheap in this game.
Yeah.
They will come up from right behind you. They will just I swear some of them were just springing up from the background or from the backgrounds without any warning, and just suddenly I'm dead.
They also have a habit of having not like having background ships come up that spawn enemies, and then having an enemy pattern come in around that.
Yeah.
And it layers it, but it layers it so fast that it's hard for you to differentiate like what's coming from where.
Right.
And it really got to me. Like in the first level, in the very like probably first third of the first level, there's a segment where a ship comes in from the left, and then an arcing enemy pattern comes in around it and up behind you. And that killed me. I even knew it was coming every time, but I couldn't visually distinguish
you couldn't
what
parse
was what
it in time.
Yeah, and every time I would just get destroyed.
Right.
Or I would see the pattern and I dodge the pattern, but then a stray bullet would get me just right. So that very, very hard game.
Yeah, I felt like a lot of the deaths that I experienced were cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Like it didn't feel fair some of the times.
Well, yeah, it was one of those ones where, because a lot of these games we're going to talk about, you'll see your death coming from a mile away, and you're like, oh, I just couldn't maneuver right. Oh, I was a pixel to the left.
Right.
This one, you're like, I exploded. What happened to me?
There's multiple schools of thought when it comes to shmups. You got people who are big Treasure fans who are very skill-based shooters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they will see 1,000 bullets, but they'll be able to dodge them.
Yeah, well, and I always called that pathfinding.
Right.
They can see this pattern of bullets and see a clear path to move through it.
And then there's the more old school style where sometimes you can't avoid it. You just had to have known where everything was going to come from and be prepared for it in advance.
Absolutely. Here's looking at you, Abadox.
Yeah. And several of the games we're looking at unfortunately fall in that latter category. That's not for me. Yeah. I far prefer that first category.
I prefer that to the bullet hell because a lot of the bullet hell games and the pathfinding and stuff is I'm just not skilled enough. Right. I can memorize it, but I can't when it's like Ikaruga was like the first boss in Ikaruga is a prime example. Yeah. Whenever the white bullets are coming out and you can navigate in between them diagonally.
If you flip just in time, you can totally get through that.
That I can't handle that.
Yeah, see I far prefer that to the memorization style.
I'd rather just I died here. I just got to remember that guy's there and I don't have to worry about it. But next are very. It's an enjoyable game. I'm not saying it's bad at all, but it was just too hard. I could not get anywhere, and it was hard as nails. Banging my head
and
against the
also,
wall.
anytime that you die, you get rolled back to whatever the last checkpoint area was. Yeah, and that's so frustrating.
It's disappointing.
I hate when games do that in shmups. I mean, it's standard fare in a lot of them. I mean, Gradius has always done that, right? But it's still incredibly frustrating and your first time in a shooter like that, it can really wear you down and make you not want to keep going.
Oh, yeah. Next up, we have Spriggan. Now, Spriggan gets a lot of praise. I do think a lot of that praise is just because it is a very different game. Yeah. Straight up, I love the setting. It's this fantasy mecha flying wizards, sort of Final Fantasy VI with Gundam feeling setting. Yeah. Very cool setting. I don't understand what any of the story's about because it's all in moon language, but...
and I assume it is based off of the series Spriggan.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
I did watch some Spriggan back in the 90s.
And the full title of the game is like Sirei Shin Spriggan something. I'm going to embarrass myself pronouncing it. But from the get-go, loved the setting.
My favorite thing from the get-go is the difficulty menu. Did you look in the options menu?
Was that the one where it was like...
It's normal, hard, super hard, unbelievable.
Yes. There was a couple, I can't remember what game it was, but there was one I played and it was like normal, it was like normal hard and then a word in Japanese. I was like, well, I don't want Japanese level because that's too hard.
One of them had normal, hard, and devil, and I wrote it down wherever it is, we'll get to it. But this one was normal, hard, super hard, unbelievable. Naturally, I played all these on the easiest difficulty. I'd like to throw that out
anytime
there.
I had an option, I did that as well.
I love shmups. I'm not good at shmups, though. I'm not going to pretend that.
Spriggan also introduces the orb power-up system, where you collect a series of orbs, which you can burn off to use as a bomb. Right. And you can combine them. Different combinations of orbs give you different types of weapons. Yeah. I very much enjoy the orb system.
Yeah, which was totally stolen in Soldier Blade.
Yeah, absolutely
blatantly stolen in Soldier Blade.
I very much enjoyed it because, one, it makes it so that bombs become a normal use item. Yeah. In games... any shmup that gives you bombs that it's its own item. It's this thing where you just hoard them and you game over and you never used it.
Right.
But no game gives you enough bombs to use them because they're screen clearing.
Right.
With Spriggan, it's yes, you can burn off your bomb, but you're going to lose some of your power up capabilities.
You'll lose part of your weapons.
Yeah. So I very much enjoyed that. It was initially a little complex, but once you get used to it after a couple of minutes, you're flying with it.
The only serious complaint I could make, and even then it's kind of bullshit, is you have these ally characters that'll show up. They're completely useless. They do nothing functional.
Oh, wait till we talk about allies in Mark II, because dear God.
But when they do show up, they not only are they useless, but it's hard to differentiate them from everything else.
Right.
So now you're trying
if you don't see one for a while, they show up and you're like, oh, what is that? Oh, shit.
Right.
Yeah.
And suddenly you're trying to dodge this thing that couldn't hurt you in the first place while it does nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, even that is pretty tame.
My orb preference was green and yellow.
Yeah.
That was the power up combo I usually went to.
Yeah. I would like to note this was the first game in Naxxit's Summer Carnival series.
I did not know that.
This was the 91 game. Because Naxxit was trying to compete with Hudson's Caravan series by making their Summer Carnival series. Because apparently when you make a series of skill-based shmups, you have to give it a stupid name. That doesn't make any sense.
As we've learned and we'll talk about.
We had Caravan, now we have Carnivals, and soon the Carnies are going to show up. But yeah, 91 was Spriggan. 93, let me double check that. And 93 was Nexer. And 92, which is bad and we'll get to later, is All's a Dick.
Yeah, All's the Dick.
Which is just a great name, damn it.
Spriggan, my two complaints about Spriggan are one, the backgrounds, it has very fast scrolling and sometimes very stark backgrounds, and it's hard on my eyes.
Yes.
Like, especially the beginning of the second level. I think it's the beginning of the second level. You're scrolling over trees, like forest, and I almost can't even look at it. It's just, it's really hard to look at.
Yeah, there's so much going on in the backgrounds, too, that sometimes it's hard to tell where the projectiles are.
If they just scrolled at like half that speed, it'd be much more viewable. But they're very complex, and they're going so fast that your eyes keep trying to focus on them.
It's very pretty, though.
Oh, yeah.
Especially for how early of a game it was.
Oh, yeah. But it made it difficult for a lot of the action to see.
Right.
Also, the restart factor is very low. After a single death in it, it's really easy to chain deaths.
Yep.
Where you'll die, and then you die again, and die again, and die again, and you're like, oh, well, that's a game over.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a bummer. Every now and then, I could regain one of my orbs that I lost, but half the time, I would die again trying to regain an orb that it was...
Yeah, because they just float up when you die, and so you can try to go grab it and run into the same bullet twice.
And usually you're at a boss when you die.
Yeah.
So it's you try to, in your invincibility period of 2 seconds, grab the orb and get back, and you never can, and you just end up chaining deaths.
You're mentioning things that we're going to see in a lot of these games, and one of the things that I first saw in this that we're going to see in several of them is the variable speed select. Like in Gradius, you have to pick up speed.
It's a power up.
Yeah.
Right.
In a lot of these games, including this one, you can just hit the select button and pick which speed you want to fly
which I love.
Yeah, that's really handy. And that way, if you want to go super fast and run like TaskBot, you can do that. Or if you want to pick a more human speed, you have that option.
I always did 3 out of 4.
Yeah, I was always 2 or 3 out of 4.
Yeah. Next up, Spriggan Mark II.
Yeah.
1992, a year later by Naxxat. And
very Gate of Thundery.
Yeah, very, very Gate of Thundery.
Came out the same year. The last one was very Soldier Bladey, which it came out before Soldier Blade. This one's very Gate of Thundery. Came out the same year as Gate of Thunder.
Now this one, totally different game.
Oh yeah.
First of all, it's really less of a shmup and more of like a story-based Gundam-esque action game.
I swear to God, if they interrupted me with more useless dialogue one more time.
I've played RPGs with less dialogue than Mark II.
Oh my God. And they completely pause, like you're like this close to a bullet, trying desperately to survive, and then just everything pauses while fucking Greg yells at you some more.
Yeah. And again, all in moon language, I didn't know what was going on.
Right.
I did try to, at some points I would pause it or like hold Google Translate up to my TV and try to figure it out. You can kind of get a feel for it. I do like that it's kind of cinematic. It's enjoyable at times.
Yeah.
It did the whole cinematic ness of it did grow on me.
Yeah.
I also really like the various power-ups. Basically, you
I like that you pretty much start with your weapons, and you just pick the one that you want.
Yeah, it felt very Guardian Legend.
Yeah.
It was like, all right, go to your pause menu, pick the weapon you want. Cool, here you go.
And you can also just hit, I can't remember which button it was. One of the buttons just you did have to pause to select the weapons.
No, you could do it unpaused. It was just dumb to because you have to all right, which one am I on? All right. And
then the other button just flips you around so you're facing the back.
Which nothing ever comes from the back.
Nothing ever comes from the back.
There was like one time that I was like, oh, I'll flip backwards.
It did let me pretend to threaten Greg if he interrupted me one more time.
I will say also that as far as the how cinematic it was, you start the game in the original Spriggan model, and then you eventually, that blows up and you get the Mark II.
Right.
And the whole sequence of getting the Mark II and them dropping it off and it powering up is really cool.
Yeah.
It's really fun, like Gundam Wing feeling moment.
Right.
You know, as someone who watched a lot of like mecha anime, it is really satisfying. Yeah. I don't know what they're saying the whole time, but it's like blah blah blah, and then in English it says Mark II, and then I'm like getting a new suit, and I'm like, the Mark II. Yeah. I didn't know I wasn't in it.
The one thing I will also say is this is the only game on this list of all the games that we are playing where I actually used the turbo function on the turbo controller.
Really?
Because the homing missiles, if you just hold down the button, you just shoot your Vulcan cannon and not use the homing missiles at all.
Which I like because it means you're not burning them off. You can hold it, and then if you want a homing missile, lift up and press again, and you homing missile.
I didn't. I just fucking turned on the turbo and was like, fuck it, everything dies now.
Now I play on a non-turbo contrber, so that was, I didn't have that option.
See, I have a TurboGrafx and it came with turbo.
Well, aren't you just fancy? But it was a game that at first I was like, this is awful, and then it really did grow on me, and I really did start to enjoy it. You start getting different loadouts that you can choose.
Right.
It's just if you ever wanted to play an early like action Gundam game, because I feel like Gundam is one of those sad series that it's like, here's a tournament fighter, and you're like, why do I want a tournament?
Here's a Dynasty Warriors clone.
It feels more like a Gundam game than any Gundam game I've ever played.
Granted, I think the Spriggan anime was before Gundam started.
Gundam was like early.
Yeah, Spriggan was 80s or early 90s.
It might have been.
It had to have been 80s because the games were already out by the early 90s.
Well, actually, Pat Labor
I would like to note that this show is about video games and not about anime, so we're gonna get it wrong. My notes for Spriggan Mark II are feels like Gate of Thunder. Oh fuck, we forgot to put Gate of Thunder on our list. Followed by shut up, Greg. Followed by some notes about the respawn system and everything, and then I swear to God, Greg, shut up. And then fucking Greg got me killed. That's my notes for Spriggan Mark II.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag. I think if it were in English, I would enjoy it much, much, much more.
Right.
Because I would at least care about what's happening. And I do care, I just don't know what is happening.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe, hopefully somebody makes a nice fan translation someday.
Yeah. It's like the first half of the 13th Warrior when I'm playing Mark II. I'm like, I don't know. I'm Antonio Banderas. I have no idea what's happening.
It's not common people fan translate Shmups, though, just because...
Yeah, I looked because I was hoping maybe someone translated and no dice.
I mean, we're enjoying it for the gameplay, not for the story.
Right.
But there is enough story in that one that would be nice to
Mark
see
II, it would be justified.
Right.
This is the last game in the box set, and this is by far the weakest.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Steam Hearts. Now, I didn't realize this. This is a 1996 game.
Very, very, very late game.
By Giga.
You can tell because of how much adult content is in it.
This is a porn shmup.
Yes.
And I do mean that in the literal sense that, like, you beat a level and you get a kind of uncomfortable, rapey porn hentai scene.
Right.
It doesn't show anything too graphic. You see some nipples and there's some noises, and it's all still frame with voiceover.
So this was released in the US, obviously.
Clearly. Yeah, this was on Toys R Us shelves.
Came bundled with Night Trap.
PC Works also included I assume what is cut content. It's a fold out with the I don't know how to say it. The scenes where the people have finished.
Oh, okay. The completion scenes.
Yeah, the completion scenes.
So we should have just framed it right here
Yeah,
for
on
the
the
video
wall.
viewers.
For the sex scenes, they're extremely graphic and include a lot of semen.
I remember you sent me the picture of that the day you received the box sets. You were like, look what came with my PC Engine games.
Now, let me say this about PC Works. I love what they do. I appreciate what they do. I'm not a huge fan of like porn posters.
No.
But the fact that they go through the effort and the fact that as much as I don't enjoy porn games, Steam Hearts was a game on the system. It was a shmup, and I do have the complete content. You know, like they
didn't fudge that out just to make it fit with the rest.
It doesn't feel gross. It feels like a cataloging effort.
It was weird that they included that instead of All's a Dick.
Yeah, that's strange. Well, All's a Dick has the word dick in the name. That's just unacceptable.
But
they'd have to blur it out.
Right. But All's a Dick at least is part of the Summer Carnival series. With Spriggan and Nexer.
Yeah.
So you'd think it'd fit there.
You'd think that, but
instead, Steam Hearts.
So yeah, it's you know, they put as much love and care and effort into Mahjong hentai games as they do Space Fantasy Zone.
And that is incredibly commendable.
Absolutely.
Whether you are a particular fan of Mahjong hentai games or not.
But that's not to say anything bad about them. Absolutely, everything they included, you know, even the graphic foldouts are wonderful quality. It's the most high quality graphic foldout I own.
Yeah,
by far. But as far as the game, it's a pretty run of the mill. I'd say slightly below average for 1996.
Yeah,
this is a year before Final Fantasy VII came out. Like it's
the PlayStation was already available in 96.
Yeah.
So was the Saturn, for that matter.
There was a Saturn version of this. It's a port of a PC 9801 game, which I assume included the original completion scenes.
I bet.
And it was later ported to the Saturn, which was edited. I don't know if it's more edited than the PCE version.
I would imagine so,
not.
Because the late years of the PC Engine, which were also the early years of the PCFX. I was about to say,
got a little PCFX-y.
Yeah, that was when Hudson had started to abandon their own platform, and the pornographers came in.
It pretty run-of-the-mill shooter, really generic.
The buttons are backwards.
I like that it has like a boost mode, so you can kind of boost around bullets and things.
Yeah.
Power-ups are really sparse.
Yeah.
As far as positive things to say about the game, if you're looking for some hentai in your shmups, it's the only hentai shmup I've found.
It does have a Gradius-style laser, unlike most of the other games.
It has a cool laser.
I love Gradius-style lasers in shmups.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that. So seeing that was the only like super redeeming moment for me.
And honestly, as long as you don't speak Japanese and you mash the one button after you beat a level, you'll skip all the porny stuff.
Right.
I mean, you can just play it as a shooter.
It did also like to occasionally pull the Greg service on me, where it would just pause and talk at me for a second.
You won't let Greg go, will
I
you?
will not. He was an asshole, and he got me killed.
But one thing I did like about it is it was pretty forgiving when you die. You kept your power-ups after dying.
Right.
So you die, restart the level, and keep your power-up. So restart factor is very high. I think
you do restart the level if you die. It's not like back to a checkpoint. It's not just respawn where you're at. It's all the way back.
Which I don't mind because I keep my power-ups.
Yeah, that's something.
You know, but it's overall...
It's still frustrating. Now, the other thing is you can take multiple hits before you die, which is nice. But that also tends to make me lazy in games.
Me too.
Especially in shmups.
It'll put me in situations where I'm like, I could get out of this, but I'm just going to take the hit.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I end up dying way more frequently than I really should.
Yep.
Because I get lazy. So.
But it's a curiosity.
Yeah.
I'll say that. If you want to check out some kind of weird skeevy porn game bolted onto a shmup.
Right.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And it's a rare breed. There's not many of those. So enjoy it for what it is, you know. Next up is the final PCE Works game that we're going to talk about. And it's not actually in this box set. It's from a different box set.
Right.
But it is, and I have the whole name, Ginga Fuke Densetsu Sapphire.
And that translates to?
Sapphire. I know it's something adventure. I know Densetsu.
If I remember right, it was something police something Sapphire, but I don't remember anymore.
Pretty much just called Sapphire.
Everybody calls it Sapphire internationally.
Yeah. Now Sapphire is interesting because I don't know if it was PC Works that did the original reprints, but there was a kerfuffle because PC Works is good about labeling all their stuff. As authentic as it all looks, it still has their logo. It says PC Works.
Now they've gotten a little lazier lately about letting some of the material go out without a mark, but the disc legitimately always has a mark.
Right. So Sapphire is one of the most coveted and expensive PC Engine games. It is a disc game, and there was a reproduction some years ago that flooded the market and wasn't marked as a reproduction.
Right.
So there's this whole thing in PC Engine and TurboGrafx communities where if you buy a copy of Sapphire, there's a good chance it's probably not a real copy of Sapphire.
But it'll still cost as much as a real copy of Sapphire.
And as long as you don't know, it still plays as good as Sapphire. Right. So what's the difference, right? It's supply and demand, Saturn.
No, it's a very late game on the Saturn or on the Turbo.
1995, a year before the seminal Steam Hearts.
Right. It was a very late game, and it was one of the very few games that used the arcade card.
Yeah.
And you finally got a chance to play it a little bit earlier.
I did indeed. I have almost nothing in my notes because I just played it an hour ago. Very visually impressive.
Oh yeah.
I mean, polygons. There's polygons.
Yeah, and there's
in a PC Engine game.
Like decent polys too. Like
it looks good.
Like it looks at least as good as Star Fox with little to no lag.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are times where it feels like it's utilizing that just for the sake of looking nice, though. The further you get in the game, there are times like that boss that you're fighting. That's just the giant like Sony head.
Yeah.
That feels a little forced.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely showing off with the expanded RAM of the arcade card. They're very much so like, look what we can do.
Yeah.
But it works because a lot of shmup design is just let's show off. Look how many items we can have on screen. Look at these graphics we have. A lot of it is just visual flair. Right. I mean, I'm okay with that.
Absolutely. Yeah. The one issue that I ever have with Sapphire when I play it is that you can shoot down some of the enemy projectiles, but not all of them.
That's frustrating.
So I think that I am safe because I'm shooting shit down, and then that one bullet goes right through my bullets and comes at me, and that's pretty frustrating.
Now you do get a selection of ships. I didn't get a chance to play long enough to notice all the differences. I noticed that one of them was super damn slow, and it gave me a game over because it was so slow.
Right.
What are the differences between the ships?
Speed, weapons, things like that.
Just basic, like Mario Kart kind of statistics.
Essentially, yeah. Now I don't know if you played with the feature at all, but if you don't fire for a few seconds, it charges up your little
I noticed that right there at the end.
Yeah. Which kind of gives it a risk reward thing. If you're willing to not fire for a couple seconds and risk
R-type
getting hit,
style, basically. Yeah.
Then you can charge up and do something fancy. And it's and that can be nice. It lets you feel like you're a little more in control of things.
Right.
But it also is one of those things that convinces me to die a lot more often.
Because you're trying to hold off.
Yes.
I know we already harped on it, but I really cannot express how impressive this is for being on an 8-bit system.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget it is still an 8-bit processor.
It looks like visually in line with like Neo Geo shmups, like a Blazing Star and stuff like that. Or was Blazing Star Neo Geo? I was thinking Pulsar. I think they might have both been Neo Geo. Anyway, it looks like a Neo Geo shmup is what it looks like.
Yeah.
Because Neo Geo played a lot with like kind of 3D artifacts in some of their games. Right. And their shmups specifically, and it looks just like one of those. It blows my mind. This system came out in what, 88? 80?
The PC Engine in 87.
My God.
This year is the 30th anniversary of the PC Engine.
Oh yeah.
Konami will do nothing.
They'll do something in 3 years.
Yeah.
33rd anniversary. That's their thing.
No, they'll do something in 4 years as the 33rd anniversary celebration.
But just really, really, truly a visually impressive game. Very glad that I got an opportunity to get my hands on your arcade cards that I can play because it's very awesome.
Very nice game.
Next up, we've talked about it a little bit. Will you explain, because I don't know, and I didn't look it up because I wanted you to explain it to me.
Okay.
What is the deal with Summer Carnival caravan shooters? What the hell are they?
So far,
why do they exist?
Now, granted, I'm going entirely from hearsay from the internet because I did not live in Japan at the time.
Right.
Little known fact.
Hold on.
I didn't
slow
live
down.
Basically, it was competition designed shooters because because the competition was so heavy in the shooter community at the time, they wanted games that were specifically designed for their tournament rules.
Right.
And their tournament rules were either score challenge or time challenge based on certain metrics.
And 3 minutes is usually the kind of bog standard.
I think
time
it's
challenge,
2
isn't
minutes,
it?
5 minutes, and score.
Okay.
If I remember right.
Okay.
So Hudson had their caravan shooters, Star Soldier and such. And then Naxit, who also was a prominent shmup company, wanted their own games for this genre. So they came up with Summer Carnival. And the first one they did was Spriggan.
And what is why Summer Carnival?
That's just the name for it.
What the?
I assume it happened in the summer.
Probably just a weird translation, maybe? Like, what is...
Who the hell knows?
Summer Carnival.
But that's what they're... All of them.
Because for years I'd hear about Summer Carnival Rekka.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is that? Like a mini game? Like when you shoot darts and ride Ferris wheels? And they're like, no, it's a hardcore space shmup.
Yes.
I was like, what the fuck is... What?
Yeah, so Summer Carnival 91 was Spriggan. And then 92 got 2 games.
Yeah.
One on the Famicom and one on the PC Engine. And on Famicom was Rekka. Which, have you played Rekka?
Yeah, I did play Rekka.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's ludicrous how impressive Rekka is for Famicom hardware. It really utilizes that system to its peak. It like graphically it looks like butt.
Because
But
Rekka 92 came out on Virtual Console.
on 3DS only.
Yeah.
Because sure.
Why not?
Yeah.
Because that's what you want to do with your 3DS buttons is play hardcore space shmups.
That's what you want to do with your 3DS. You want to throw it across the room.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it feels a lot like Spriggan, honestly. Though its power-up system is very similar to Sapphire. But it's really impressive for an NES game, but that's off topic.
Right.
The other 92 game was Alzadik. Or Altzadik.
Now,
I'm not sure.
Altzadik does not exist outside of the tournament format. There's
right.
Because a lot of these, it basically, they're
They made a full game, but it had the caravan mode.
Yeah, it was just a special
Alzadik
mode.
was just caravan mode. There was no non-caravan mode.
Now because PC Works has a caravan box set, and there's a couple of games that were only caravan games.
Yeah, and there was a handful of them.
Like one of them's like Psycho Rider.
Yeah, Psycho Rider.
Yeah, which I think is only caravan.
And also, I can't remember. I think Force Gear maybe. And several of them were mini games in Konami's Tokimeki Memorial.
Yeah. Where
they just had a bunch of caravan style shooters.
Because why not?
Because sure. But Alzadik, my notes for Alzadik are, this is the Shasta of Blazing Lasers clones. For those of you who are not familiar with Shasta, Shasta is the soda that stores get when they are too cheap to make their own store brand. And it's worse than store brand.
We can't afford Dr. Thunder. Get us Shasta up in here.
Get a Diet Dr. Shasta.
Oh my God.
It's Alzadik is awful. And fortunately you can't play it for more than the time limit because then you'd want to kill yourself.
Right.
It's
As
really, really bad. It's super easy to not die. But you kind of wish that you would die.
Yeah.
Like in real life when you're playing.
It was one of those things where it was who could throw the tournament the fastest.
Right?
Yeah. I did also want to give a honorable mention to arcade ports. Again, we're focusing we have a whole nother segment to get to in this episode.
Right.
But we're focusing on PC Engine specific games.
Yeah.
But I did want to mention just arcade ports. So I'll just let you run through a list. Arcade ports on PC
Engine.
Engine.
There's a ton of Sega ports. The Space Harrier Fantasy Zone Afterburner, Space Fantasy Zone, which is not a port so much as just a weird amalgamation.
Yeah.
Then there were the Konami ports like Gradius, Salamander, Gradius 2.
And they're all good ports.
Excellent ports. I would say they are the best ports of the games that aren't just emulations of the arcade. R-Type.
1941, 1943, Aero Blasters.
Yeah.
One not on our list was Raiden. This is very faithful port of Raiden.
Also, there were a couple of Darius games that were super graphics enhanced too. So there's some of the very few games that are super graphics enhanced.
Right.
Because there was the 3 super graphics exclusive games, and then I think there was 2 or 3 super graphics enhanced games, and 2 of them were Darius. And if I remember right, they were both only given away with a PC Engine magazine that was very uncommon.
Mm-hmm.
So those Darius Hue cards cost like infinity monies to purchase today.
I can only imagine.
Like if you don't have an EverDrive, you won't play them on hardware. You'll play them on an emulator.
Yeah. So this is going to get into our final segment, and I saved this for the end of the part one because I feel like it deserves a very special mention.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the 2 Air Zonk games. And the reason I feel this way is I feel like they are the quintessential PC Engine shmups.
Right.
I would almost put them under the cute 'em up category, which I know we said we aren't really covering, but they're kind of different. They're very, very.
They were cutesy, but they were also definitely appealing to the Bart Simpson Sonic the Hedgehog
radical early
hardcore,
90s thing. Yeah. And all these other games, you can't get them all on other platforms, but you can get cool space shooters on other platforms.
Right.
Air Zonk is completely exclusive to the PC Engine.
Right.
If you sit down to play one PC Engine shmup, it's not the best PC Engine shmup, but if you want to get a feel for the culture and the marketing behind the PC Engine, Air Zonk is where it's at.
Yeah, I mean, Zonk became TTI's mascot in the US in the later years of the Turbo Duo.
I would even say if you just want to get a feel for PC Engine as a platform, I would recommend this over Bonk because to me the Bonk games, and I know someone's going to bite my head off, are not fantastic games.
They have aged really poorly.
Air Zonk,
I love Bonk too, but it is aged poorly.
Are great games.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll start with the first Air Zonk.
The better one.
Yeah, the better one. 1992, developed by Red Company, obviously published by Hudson, as most of these were.
As most Turbo games are.
What a really awesome game.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Just nice graphics, nice soundtrack. I love that you get to pick your little partner character, and there's like a half dozen or so little partner characters. I would always pick the cat because he looks cool. Might be a dog. I always thought it was a cat, but his power up is useless and really unfortunate. So I hate getting the super power up because that makes the cat useless.
Yeah. What's fun about it is it's one of those games where initially booting it up, you boot up Air Zonk, and you have no fucking idea what anything is, what's going on, what's a power up, and what's happening, why am I tiny?
First thing you see is Bonk.
Yeah.
And he gets hit by lightning or whatever, and now he's Zonk.
Yeah. Which Zonk is a robot. Is he not? Is that not revealed?
Sure.
I feel like I've seen somewhere a cutaway where he's cut in half and the other side's like all metal.
Yeah, that was from the inside of the manual from one of them.
So it shocked him into a robot.
Yeah, he turned him into a robot. Or he was always a robot and we just changed his programming. Who knows?
Interesting Zonk mythos reveal. This is our Zonk headcanon. This is what we're getting into.
Yeah.
It's one of those games it's frantic in the way Parodius is frantic and ridiculous. But again, it does it in this like radical 90s way. Parodius is everything's very cute and penguins and little octopuses. Zonk is like it's like radical Bart Simpson, like you said. It perfectly encapsulates that.
And like most cute 'em ups, it has that forgiving health system where you can take a few hits before you die, and
you're still okay,
and you can recover health. And health power ups actually show up. All power ups show up pretty frequently,
all the time, especially the little smiley face power ups. Those are just a nonstop. They're just like
those are
pellets.
Basically coins.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it's frantic, it's fast paced, but it's still fun.
Right.
The first Air Zonk especially, I would say, has a real good pace to it. It's got, even though it's easier than most shmups, it has a rewarding difficulty curve where you actually feel like you're accomplishing something.
Right.
You're not just breezing through it.
And a lot of the game is just finding. Because, most of these shmups we talk about, you find, going into it, they all have the same power-up systems.
Right.
I know I like the Vulcan. You like the laser. You know this is where we're going to go with it. With Zonk, there's such weird shit to try out.
Yeah, there's just weird shit. Like with the cat. If you power it up all the way, you bite things.
Yeah, mine was I liked the rocket ship.
Yeah,
the big metal rocket ship with sunglasses on because
all
it's radical.
Of them have sunglasses as soon as they become. If they become Zonk's friend, they get the Zonk glasses.
Oh, okay.
And in fact, in Super Air Zonk, in the sequel, you don't pick your partners; they're chosen by the stage you're on.
Right.
You'll happen to save somebody who becomes your partner, and when you see them, they're just a defenseless animal. And then when you save them,
they get radical.
They get
sunglasses.
the glasses.
If you are like me and you own PC Engine or TurboGrafx hardware, but you can't afford the games,
right,
you are probably going to play Super Air Zonk,
right,
because it exists
that's the one
on
that you
CD.
can burn and play
Right.
that way. One thing both the Airzonk games have, which I noticed in one of the other games, and I don't remember if it was one we covered and I accidentally missed it or not, but Airzonk has this thing where if you get real close to enemies behind you, then the jets that are propelling you
Automatically
will kill
hits
them.
Yeah.
Which is so great. Like, that's such a minor little thing that no one's...
But it gives you the ability to attack from behind, but without having to pay super close attention.
Right.
Like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you. It worked really well, just being on auto fire.
Right.
It was great.
And when it does happen, it's very rewarding, but it's not important enough that you're planning your whole strategy around it.
Zonk is basically radical Astro Boy. I just realized.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, Bonk was caveman Astro Boy, so,
that's
true.
Super Air Zonk was 93, developed by Dual, published by, again, Hudson. And, of course, I honestly, I might prefer this one.
Really?
I really think I might.
I prefer the first one. There's some things I respect about the second one, though.
Second one, you do get to choose your level.
Yes.
So
stage select and better soundtrack.
And you choose it by getting into a giant cannon, and it fires you into that level.
Yes.
Because of course it does.
Right.
Because why wouldn't it?
You know what? A lot of games in the Super NES era fired you, or in the 16-bit era, fired you out of a cannon. That seemed to be a thing.
We could do an episode on games that fired you out of cannons.
Yeah, we'd have to focus on Secret of Mana a lot.
And then also you got Donkey Kong Country, Super Mario 64. We might do an episode on this. This could be a thing.
Yeah.
I very much enjoyed Super Air Zonk. I really, really enjoyed the soundtrack on Super Air Zonk.
Oh yeah, this Super Air Zonk has the way better soundtrack.
That it's this, and of course it's all.
I love the name of Super Air Zonk too, because the full name is Super Air Zonk Rockabilly Paradise.
Yep.
Thank you, Hudson. That was amazing.
I think these are the two games on our list that released in America too.
Yes, they both were released in America. There's some games we'll mention next time that were released in America, but of the ones we're covering this week, those are the only ones.
Yeah. But Super Air Zonk, I love the soundtrack. It's one that I will turn on my PC Engine, put the disc in, and just listen to the soundtrack on my CRT.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of the very few games that I'll do that with. Because it's just so damn good.
Yeah.
And if we can, Pablo, go edit. I don't know, just pick a level. Just edit some music in here.
Find some Super Air Zonk music and just put it in the background.
But I thoroughly enjoyed the soundtrack. I kind of enjoy not having to pick my partner. I enjoy that it assigns one to me because I'm always worried I'm going to pick a shitty partner, and then I do this thing where I'm like, I don't like that partner, reset. I don't like that partner, reset. And it's nice to just, it's like a grab bag. Like, I don't know what I'm going to get. I love the little turtle.
Yeah.
That like shoots the two different directions.
Yep.
It's just, the whole thing is just fantastic.
It's adorable, but still ridiculous. I can't recommend them enough.
Right. I mean, I'd say it's probably the only game, and I don't feel like it's a cute 'em up. It's like a radical 'em up.
Yeah.
Like if that was a thing, like a
It
cowabunga 'em up.
Yeah, it definitely hits that Ninja Turtles, Sonic the Hedgehog vibe
Absolutely.
of the early 90s.
Which is probably why there's some of the few that they shmups that they brought to America. Yeah, because that's what they
also,
were trying
TT, I
for.
really needed a mascot real hard.
Anyway, next week, I do want to, so that people know what to expect, it's going to be PC Engine Shmups Part 2. We're specifically going to be focusing on the Soldier Blade series, one of my favorites, Blazing Lasers.
Yeah.
And Gate/Lords of Thunder.
And then anything else that we missed that we forgot.
I'm sure we're going to find more stuff. I know Download 2 has been on my list for a while. And honestly, I skipped it because I thought it was a typo. And there's just a game called Download 2. And I was like, all right, well, that's cool. That seems like a generic ROM name, but okay. So next week is going to be more cream of the crop shmups. You know, I did want to just give special mention to Air Zonk because, again, it's not that it's the best or the most well-designed or the tightest, but it is the most indicative of specifically American TurboGrafx culture.
It definitely encapsulates that era.
Absolutely. If what was the shitty comic book mascot?
It's Johnny Turbo.
If Johnny Turbo was going to play a shmup, he'd play Air Zonk. We do have a question this week, as always, from Dougie. His question was, which PC Engine shmup would you like to see given a modern-day overhaul in the vein of R-Type, Delta, or Gradius 5?
Absolutely Blazing Lasers.
I'm going to change my answer.
Really?
I had Blazing Lasers down. I kind of would prefer to see Super Air Zonk.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a third Air Zonk.
Yeah, because Konami will do any of these things.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be a pachinko hentai game.
Yeah.
It'd be Air Zonk Girl, and you could put in some yen coins and then play like a game where balls go
for 4 seconds.
Yeah.
Until you have to put more in.
Then you win tickets that you go across the hallway to redeem because they can't be in the same place. So that's it. I think I would like to see Air Zonk redone. I would love to see it in kind of a not sprite work, but like I think it'd be like a cool cell shaded game. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I
could definitely see that.
I would like to see Blazing Lasers is great.
That said, I also saw what they did with Bonk on the GameCube.
Yeah,
and
let's not talk about that.
Yeah,
Blazing Lasers is great, but I feel like we need more '90s ridiculous radicalness in our lives.
Let's bring back that era.
Let's bring back cool Sonic that thinks he's cool, but he's not really cool. No. He's just kind of lame.
Just
with
gonna
the
eat
rest
chili
of
dogs.
So next week will be PC Engine Shmups Part 2. If there's anything, if we skipped your favorite shmup in the whole world, do let us know. Again, there's a huge number of shmups on the system. We're just not going to get to all of them because I usually have about 2 evenings that I can actually do research in.
That's fair.
So, yeah. I'm still trying to work my way through all the Soldier series. I've only played Soldier Blade right now. Blazing Lasers I have to revisit.
Right.
And there's a special edition of that I haven't played. So, oh my God, there's so many games. Anyway, if you want to reach out to us, please do so on Facebook. You can find us at facebook.com/Retro Warriors. You can also support us on Patreon, be entered in our drawing every week, and download our spin-off show, Classic Corner, which comes out every Saturday.
And is amazing.
It's so amazing. Poor Andrew played through Chuck Rock 2 for an episode
poor guy.
of Classic Corner. And
no one deserved that.
Dougie wrote in, he was like, I kind of like Chuck Rock 2. He enjoys the game.
I feel so bad for you that you enjoy Chuck Rock 2.
I told him,
man.
I told him that it's probably Stockholm Syndrome because he got all the PAL ports of things, so he just had to play what he had. So so do go check us out there, patreon.com/Retro Warriors. And you can go to our website, retrowarriors.net, which you will find sometimes written content at, sometimes not.
Yeah, we're going to try that.
Yeah, we're very close to our second milestone on our Patreon, which will be constant written content every week.
Yep.
We're a few dollars away from that. I'm very excited to hit that.
Super exciting.
I thought we were going to hit it, but then I forgot taxes and fees and everything.
Fucking taxes.
Gets cut
out of there.
Factored in, so I got to pay my money to the man.
Yeah.
And the man being PayPal in this instance, who takes a bigger cut than Patreon.
That's weird.
Which seems really strange to me. So good on you, Patreon, for not taking a larger cut, because I honestly wouldn't even be that upset if you did.
Yeah.
Because you're taking less money than PayPal does. Maybe I'll just have him mail me a paper check, and I can just do it that way. Anyway, we'll be back next week with PC Engine Shmups. Again, do reach out to us if you have anything specific you want us to play.
Indeed.
And as always, let us cling together.